Welcome, Cowboy fans and Cowboy haters alike. I'm the G, and I'm the host of Let's Talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. Let's talk facts. Well, the 49ers are behind us. No more talking about the San Francisco 49ers. It is time for the Cowboys to move on and to make some sort of playoff run. Because the reality is the Cowboys have 10 games left. They have 10 games left. And I believe for the Cowboys to get into the dance, the Cowboys need 10 wins. I don't think 9 will do it. I think 9 will you'll be caught up in the convoluted tiebreakers and strength of schedules and yada yada yada. The Cowboys need 10 wins. 10 wins. And so if we divide what's left up into two parts, the Cowboys need to win 3 out of 5 and 4 out of 5. They need 3 out of 5 and 4 out of 5. So there is room for losses in there. But the Cowboys need to win 3 of the next 5 and then 4 of the last 5, or 4 of the next 5 and 3 of the last 5, or however you want to do it. The Cowboys, if they're going to make the playoffs, they got to make some moves. And I think the move they need to make is this week. They need to make the move against the Atlanta Falcons. They have got to make a move against this team. This is another winnable game. And I'm going to tell y'all something about last week. I'm a little bit bent out of shape about last week because the Cowboys could have won the game. I don't know what you're hearing from everyone else, but the Dallas Cowboys gave that game away. They gave that game away. They could have pulled way ahead of the 49ers in the second quarter, at the end of the second quarter. They had an opportunity at the end of the game. If Kevontae Turpin doesn't drop that pass, if there isn't a non-call pass interference, the Cowboys had so many opportunities to win that game. And it just shows you it's kind of like the epitome of the season they have going on. The Cowboys, they just can't seem to, when they really need to make that move, they can't make that move to pull ahead of a team or do what they need to do. And so the Atlanta Falcons, again, they have a great opportunity. The Atlanta Falcons, whether anyone accepts it or not, they're not juggernauts. I mean, they're not juggernauts. The Dallas Cowboys can beat this team. And today we're going to focus on, we're going to have we're going to do 2 shows today. So we'll be doing this morning. We'll do this show. It started at 11:30. We'll go to around 1 o'clock. But then we're going to come back tonight at probably around 5:30. And we're going to talk for about 2 hours about not just a little bit more of the offense, but we're going to talk about the defense because Mike Zimmer keeps showing flashes. Mike Zimmer, with what he has, Mike Zimmer keeps showing flashes. What's going on, Brother Roderick? He keeps showing flashes of the defense. He's got a good enough scheme. See, we can't say about Mike Zimmer what we're saying about Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy's scheme is just terrible. He's very inconsistent. The Pittsburgh game, I don't understand. It's the best game that Mike McCarthy has called all season. And it's like somebody said to Mike McCarthy, don't call that game again. Don't call the Pittsburgh game again. Because if you call that game, Mike, we're going to win games. So don't call that game. Instead, Mike, we need you to go back to the old same boring, uncreative, whack routes. I mean, dumb situational football. I mean, Mike, we need you to go back to a pumpkin rather than being a carriage. I mean, what in the world is, the inconsistency? And so, but when it comes to Mike Zimmer, what's going on, Freddie? But when it comes to Mike Zimmer, one thing we can say about Zimmer, especially after the Baltimore game, Zimmer's scheme has not been inconsistent. Zimmer right now is lacking the player performance because of the injuries. So Zimmer has started to kind of settle down. Zimmer has been stopping the run more. What got away from him is that third quarter in the San Francisco game. But other than that, Zimmer to me is doing his part. If the offense can give Zimmer just a little bit more, Zimmer will get this team. He will stop the other team. Zimmer will get this team some wins. Zimmer is being consistent whether anyone is accepting it or not. Zimmer is doing it. I actually have no problems with Zimmer. I mean, I don't know what anyone else thinks. I have no problems with Zimmer. I mean, man, you're talking about a person who's really playing with, I mean, Zimmer has been playing with two hands tied behind his back. Freddie Morales says, do you think the boys are tanking on purpose? I don't want to use the word tanking, but it seems more like a planned demolition. I mean, I don't know if that's any better, but that's what I'm calling it, a planned demolition. It's kind of like, well, if we win, we win. If we don't, we don't. And if we don't win, it benefits us because we're going to get a higher draft pick because Jerry Jones has shown he is concerned about building this team not this year, but next year. And I don't know, maybe out of respect, he's letting Mike McCarthy. I mean, I did a video on it, dropped it last night. I mean, Mike McCarthy's job is safe. It doesn't mean he's going to get his contract extended. But Mike McCarthy's job is safe. Jerry Jones is not going to fire Mike McCarthy. I mean, unless Mike McCarthy just starts blatantly, and I don't even know if it's blatant. I don't think Jerry Jones is going to fire Mike McCarthy. I just don't. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Jerry Jones is going to respectfully let Mike McCarthy finish this season. But where I'm concerned is listening to Mike McCarthy in his own press conference. Mike McCarthy is talking about what we need to do on offense. We need to stay consistent with running the football, and we need to do this, and you're the play caller. How are you the play caller saying what we need to do when you have control over what we do, unless you don't have control over what we do? So there's a lot of questions for me, Freddie. There are a lot of questions for me. And so this week, I want to get into some of the storylines real quick. And then we'll get into some of the things on the offensive side of the ball. But when we look at the storylines, I mean, we don't really have any deep storylines this week. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. We don't really have any deep storylines. I mean, the playoff chances are fading. The playoff chances are fading for the Dallas Cowboys. They're not done. They're fading. The Cowboys are 3-4. A win puts them right back in the thick of it. Puts them right back at 4-4. 500 football team, they'll be right back in the thick of it. But if they lose this one, 3-5, we're going to have to really be careful because the more they lose, even though there's a chance, the chance begins to the chance right now is kind of like this. But the more they lose, the more they lose, it's like chance. And then you're going to get to a point to it's just going to be it's not going to be a chance. So they need to win this football game because if they do not win this football game, their playoff chances are fading. And I just think even though the players, they don't really necessarily have top-tier players, they have some top-tier players. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb. They did it last year. Mike's just got to get more creative. Bottom line, Mike McCarthy's got to get more creative. But their playoff chances are fading. That's one of the storylines. 2.5-point underdogs. Not really a surprise. That's pretty much what they give the home team, 2 points or so. So, this is really not that big of a stretch. I mean, the Cowboys have a chance. I mean, last week it was 5.5 points. When you see 5.5 points, they're basically saying that that the home team is going to pretty much beat the brakes off of the visiting team. So the Cowboys, 2.5-point underdogs, it's not really a big deal. I mean, it's saying that this game is more winnable than last week. This is a big one for me. And I'm going to talk a lot about this, I think, today. Who will be RB1 this week? This is a huge storyline. Who will be RB1? Because ever since Zeke complained after the Pittsburgh game, Ezekiel Elliott has been RB1. And I'm calling cap on Mike McCarthy talking about that Rico Dowdle is primary in the rotation. How's he primary in the rotation? After he had the best game of any Dallas Cowboy this season in the running game, 20 for 87. You literally let Ezekiel Elliott, after he complained in the press, you let him come out and start the Detroit game. What was that about? And Rico Dowdle, with only 5 carries, still almost outgained Ezekiel Elliott. Make it make sense, Mike. Make it make sense. Is this you or is it Jerry? Make it make sense. Because Ezekiel Elliott has not earned the RB1 spot on this team. So who will be RB1? Freddie says, don't know what you think, but in my opinion, the boys, in order to be a true playoff team, need another wide receiver to take the heat off of CD, a defensive tackle to stuff the middle of the defensive line, and a running back with speed. So you're talking about 3 positions, Freddie, and I think it's very interesting. It was a couple of years ago, the Cowboys were at this same point, and Amari Cooper changed life. So at the end of the day, the question becomes, what will they do with the trade deadline? And not just what will they do with the trade line, but is this season? And I think Jerry has already told us. Jerry said they're not shopping. Jerry is kind of saying something like, we'll wait by the phone. Who's calling you? Who wants to help you, Jerry? What are you waiting by the phone for? You might as well stop waiting, because teams are not trying to help you. They're trying to help themselves. And so what teams do, they try to help themselves. And that's why they're picking up the phone. And so at this point, why would they call you? Because what do you have that they want other than a draft pick? When no one's going to call Jerry Jones, Freddie, simply because anybody who's watching Jerry Jones knows right now, Jerry Jones values the draft picks he has coming up in 2025 because he's done nothing in free agency. He said he's not going to do anything at the trade deadline. So the only way Jerry Jones is going to build this team is how? I need my Jeopardy music. Through the draft. No one's calling Jerry Jones. No one's going to call Jerry Jones about any player. They're not going to call about Trey Lance. Guess why? He's an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season. Trey Lance will be able to go to whoever he wants to. There's nobody on this team that someone's going to be calling about. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I've been talking with Micah Parsons' brother on X because of Micah Parsons and something that he did on his podcast. He came up with a top 10 quarterback list, and Dak Prescott's not on it. How foolish is that? It shows a lack of awareness. You shouldn't be doing things like that. You're a player on a team. That's for folk in the media. I'm not tripping as hard on Micah Parsons' podcast. But what I do think is that Micah Parsons needs to keep his podcast away from his team. Anything that has anything to do with your team, keep that podcast away from it. Because the only thing you do is you throw wood on a fire that's already burning. You throw gasoline on a fire that's already burning around your team. People are always looking for things to talk about your team. First, it was a distraction. First, it's the distractions. It's Jerry Jones on the radio. It's always talking about your quarterback. So why would you put a story out like that? And the reason why I'm saying that is the only players that anybody would call the Dallas Cowboys about is Trayvon Diggs, Micah Parsons maybe. But as I pointed out to Micah Parsons' brother, Trayvon Diggs has not been playing well this year. And it doesn't seem to have anything to do with his knee. He's just been getting torched as usual. And a little bit more than usual. Trayvon Diggs is a chance taker. Appreciate that. He is. He will jump balls. He'll do all kinds of things. But he hasn't been playing well this year. And that's the bottom line. So who would really call and give you anything of, a high trade value for Trayvon Diggs? Because I'm not giving him up for anything. You couldn't even. No. I'm not giving him up for anything less than a 2. But who's going to offer you that? The way Micah Parsons is playing, people keep talking about trading Micah Parsons. He's not playing up to snuff. They're not trading Micah Parsons. I'll be shocked if they do. But I'm just saying all of that because at the end of the day, nobody's calling the Cowboys. So, Freddie, when you talk about a wide receiver, I think that boat sailed not on the guy from Carolina that I forgot who picked up. I think it was the Baltimore Ravens were able to get the Deontay kid. I think got the Deontay kid from the Carolina Panthers. That boat is sailed. But and then you talk about defensive tackle, definitely not going to happen. That's definitely not going to happen. They're not going to do that for sure. And running back, I'll be honest with you. I think when it applies to the Dallas Cowboy running game, this is why I'm going to talk about this in depth today. The running game is already there. Whether anybody wants to recognize it, it's already there. The problem is because of the lack of play creativity, we are worse than what we look. We don't have world beater running backs. We don't have, as you say, Freddie, we don't have a speedy running back. And I'll take that back. We actually do have a speedy running back. But we just don't know how to use him. And I'm going to talk about him. Let me go forward. I'm going to talk about the running back that let me stop stuttering. The running back I have in mind in particular, I'm going to show you that this is not just about we have a weak running back room. No. We have a coach who, for some reason, and I think, what's going on, Nisi? I think for some reason, Mike McCarthy and Jerry Jones are either on the same page or Mike McCarthy and Jerry Jones are warring at one another. There's something not right between them two because I am not a football coach. I have not coached college, professional, or high school. But there are just things that I see on this Dallas Cowboy team that they could be doing 10 times better that you can't tell me that Mike McCarthy and that coaching staff isn't seeing these things. Because if they're not seeing these things, they should be fired right now. But we're going to talk about who's the RB1. Who will be the RB1 this week? And like I said, we don't have a lot of keys to the game. Will Mike will be back? It's a big deal. We know Deron Bland is back. But will Micah Parsons be back? And from all indicators, Micah Parsons might not be back. Because I have noticed Micah Parsons hasn't practiced from my understanding, and the day is Thursday. So we'll give a full injury report tomorrow because that's the one that's going to really tell us what's happening with this team going into Sunday. But from what my understanding is, Micah has not practiced. And when you start talking about high ankle sprains, those are the worst ones. High ankle sprains are, If I'm not mistaken, they're hard to come back from. I could be wrong, but I think the high ankle sprains are the harder ones to come back from. And so we don't know if Micah Parsons is not playing. The Cowboys going to have a hard time this week again. Freddie, I won't be sad if he goes, but they should trade him so they control where he lands. Let's see. Hold on, I might have missed something. I think Micah re-signs with Dallas after this season. After that deal is done, he walks. Yeah, for sure. Micah Parsons is going to re-sign. But I'm going to tell you something, Freddie. But what will Micah Parsons look like? What will he look like after that deal is done? What will he look like? Who's to say he doesn't walk? Who's to say that the Cowboys just flat out say, we're not re-signing you? And I have a strange feeling that if the Cowboys see where he's not any good anymore, they're going to trade him. They're not giving Micah Parsons a no-trade clause. I promise you. That's only the quarterback that gets those kinds of privileges. They're not giving that to Micah Parsons. And if they give that to Micah Parsons, it'll be dumb, number one. But number two, I guarantee you that deal will only be like a 3-year deal. But the Cowboys, nah. They probably not going to trade him. They're probably not going to trade him. Probably something they, depending upon what he does this year, maybe something they should consider. But I think that he's a part of Jerry's plans. Niecy said, Michael will look like Gallup. Let me tell you something, Niecy. I'm very interested to see what he looks like for the rest of the season. Because I'm going to tell y'all something. This contract discussion with Micah Parsons is going to be epic. You want to know why? Because Micah Parsons thinks he's a top 5 defensive end. But if you look at Micah Parsons, and I'm just stating facts, because everyone has talked about this for 2 seasons, not 1, 2. Micah Parsons disappears down the stretch. Micah Parsons disappears down the stretch. He hasn't ate in the playoffs. He hasn't ate in the playoffs. Let me tell you something. He's not Bosa. He's not Bosa for the 49ers. Bosa has absolutely ate in the regular season. Bosa has absolutely ate in the playoffs. Bosa has ate in the Super Bowl. Micah Parsons hasn't done any of those. Well, we hadn't even made the Super Bowl. He hadn't ate in the playoffs. He fades down the stretch of the season. And if you look at what he's done this year, before the injury, abysmal. Micah Parsons. How does he even try to fix his mouth? How would he even fix his mouth to tell Jerry Jones, I want to be the top paid defensive end in football? He's undersized as the defensive end. He couldn't even say he wanted to be the top paid linebacker because he wants to be labeled as a defensive end. He's not playing linebacker, which I think Micah Parsons could probably be a top 5 linebacker. But he wants to be an undersized defensive end. And if you look at his performance at defensive end, it does not warrant top defensive end pay. It doesn't. And I was saying this to his brother today because his brother's sitting up talking about it's no big deal that Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs come up with a top 10 quarterback list and Dak isn't on it. And his rebuttal is, well, we're talking about right now. It's no big deal. No one's been out of shape about it. Right now? You want to talk about right now, Terrence Parsons? Before your brother was hurt, he wasn't top 10. Trayvon Diggs, not even top 20. What if Dak Prescott put together a list and said, oh, here's my top 10 defensive ends and top 10 cornerbacks, and he left them 2 off of it? You know why he wouldn't do that? Because Dak is way too mature. Dak is way too mature. He's a leader of men. He's the leader of the team. He's not going to do something that dumb that's going to cause not only friction in his locker room, he's not going to give the media food to feed on. And he's not going to put himself in a situation to where he's going to have to go to his teammates and start explaining, oh, man, I didn't mean it like that. Man, shut up. When someone say they didn't mean it like that, how you didn't mean it like that, and that's how you put it out there. You do it how you mean it. Don't tell me what you said. You do it how you mean it. That's why you got to be smart, man, and stop doing stupid stuff. Postboy said, I feel like it's about placement and scheme, in my opinion. That's what we're going to talk about, Postboy. That's the issue. That's the issue that's going on. And that's why I'm wondering right now if there's a war going on between Mike and Jerry, or is there agreement going on between Mike and Jerry? Because I'm telling you, what we are watching is on purpose. I don't care what anyone says. It's on purpose. Spider-Man says that and old Cords have figured out how to frustrate him. He says linebackers don't get the bag. D-ends get the bag. And with the way Michael Parsons is playing right now, you tell me, Spider-Man, he couldn't even fix his mouth to say he won't top 5 pay. Because if you're going to pay Michael Parsons even top 3 pay, you're not paying him based on what he's done. You're going to pay him on what you think he can do. We'll talk about that as the season gets on, because I'll tell you this, man, if the Cowboys are really talking about rebuilding around Dak Prescott, man, they might ought to give some thought to Michael Parsons and Trayvon Diggs. Might ought to give some thought. Nisi said that's a very big deal because it's causing division in the locker room. Terrence Parsons is ignorant if he doesn't think that if I'm the quarterback and you come up with a top 10 list and I'm your quarterback and I'm not on it, even if I don't say something, I'm feeling some type of way. I'm feeling some type of way. And you come up to me with all your, hey man, you know, it's just social media. You come up to me all you want to. But now I don't look at you the same. I don't look at you the same. I'm looking at you now like, man, you know what? This dude is like, this dude isn't a team player. And his brother talking about he's just giving unbiased. Bruh, you're on the Dallas Cowboys. You are biased. What are you talking about? I don't know. Y'all tell me in the chat. Maybe I'm stupid. I'm biased for the team I'm on. I'm biased. I don't care who the top running back is in the league. You ask me about my running back, I'm going to give you a glowing review. I'm going to tell you, you know what? Hey, man, we got a bad running back. Y'all just don't understand yet. Y'all don't understand. Hey, you know what? He just needs more opportunities. Y'all hadn't seen nothing yet. He warming up. We got something for. I don't care if we got the worst running back. I'm not making a list talking about my top 5 running backs and leaving my running back off of it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I don't care what his stats are. I don't care who he is. Why? Because I'm on the team. If I'm Michael Parsons, the YouTuber, if I'm Michael Parsons, the podcaster, and I don't play for the Dallas Cowboys, I'm out of football. Okay, now I'm going to make some people mad because I'm going to speak nothing but truth. But on the team, I'm biased, bro. Don't ask me about it. If you ask me if another player is good, I'm going to tell you, yeah, he's great. But if you're going to ask me if he's better than my running back, my quarterback, my defensive end, I'm not telling you that. Even if it's true. Even if it's true, I'm not telling you that. Why? Because this my team. I ride for my team. Man, that's crazy talk. But we'll talk about some of that. And the last thing that I want to look at for a storyline is this simple. It didn't come true, y'all. It came partially true, but it didn't come all the way true. Mike McCarthy's play calling after the bye, it was still atrocious. It was atrocious. Dak Prescott. We'll talk about Dak in a moment. But I'm telling you, Dak Prescott, this issue, You're rolling to your left. This is the play design. On the interception to CeeDee Lamb in the third quarter, I believe it is. You're rolling to your left as a right-handed quarterback. Tell me this isn't poor play design. You are a right-handed quarterback running to the left. The wide receiver is running to the left. And you have to torque your body while you're running to the left. Torque your body, cock your arm, and then throw it to the left. Poor play design. It was going to end in disaster no matter what. Poor play design. Poor play design. Our problem is Mike McCarthy's play calling. He didn't come out of the bye on fire like he did last year. This man came out of the bye worse almost than he was before the bye. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Nisi talking about the Micah thing. That's a very big deal. It's causing division in the locker room. I'm sorry, then the comeback is Micah's a proven liar. I don't believe anything he says. I showed it this week. Mike McCarthy is a liar, man. This dude is disingenuous, and that's the part that I can't deal with. There's a lot of things I can deal with, but people who lie to your face, that man straight up lied about that Rico Dowdle, Zeke Elliott issue, and we're going to get more into that in a minute. Post Boy said, to be honest, I also feel like we have too many reality TV personalities and sensitive-minded team members. Not to be disrespectful, but my boys are soft in the running game. Secondary of the defense. I'm going to show you something, though, Post Boys. We get into the things about this offense. And this offense, I'm going to tell y'all something. I talked about this a little bit early in the week. But we have to understand something sometimes about players. Do y'all know sometimes we're talking about players. We're analyzing them based on what we've seen. We're saying things about them based on what we're seeing. But one of the things that we don't talk enough about is that sometimes, too, we're talking about these players because of the situations their coaches are putting them in. They're not putting them in good situations. They're not putting them in situations to succeed. And so when you do a player like that, you're giving people a perception of him that may not be true. There's a reason why players leave the Dallas Cowboys and they go on to be successful. Why? Because we're not coaching them right. We're not putting them in the right situation sometimes. There are things that we are doing wrong, and these players are the ones who are getting bad raps for it in some situations. And I'm going to show you one player in particular that I'm going to look at in a second. Spider-Man says it's poor play if you want to win. If you are in a soft rebuild, it's the perfect play. I think what we're looking at is the soft rebuild. I think it's the soft rebuild we're looking at. And that's why Jerry, if you listen to him, I talked about it this week. Just listen to him. Jerry don't sound like a man who got beat 47-9 on his birthday. Jerry don't sound like a man who got beat the fourth time in a row by the San Francisco 49ers without Christian McCaffrey. That's not what he sounds like to me. He sounds like to me he cool with everything going on. Everything is going on. Revelation says, why didn't Mike and Diggs give their top 10 head coaches, their top 10 head coaches, OCs, text screen game over? Yeah. Better yet, why didn't they give their top 10 cornerbacks? Because I guarantee you Trayvon Diggs couldn't put himself on it. That's the very reason why he was fighting with Mike Leslie. Because Mike Leslie had made a comment about something that he did on the field. That's the very reason. You're going to get mad about that, talking about these nuts, and then you're going to go and make a top 10 list quarterback, and then you're talking about Jaden Daniels as top 10? Hey, that's cool if you're talking about that stuff in your house. You don't need to be talking about any of that stuff in the media as it applies to your team. None of that stuff. It's stupid. It's just stupid dumbness. It shows a clear lack of awareness. Clear lack of awareness. This team loves to make a number 3 on any position of number 1. Just stupid. I don't understand the dumbness. Freddie Morales says, I'm starting to think that the boys need a Buckers type player on the team to whip the players into shape. How do you get a Buckers type player when the owner / GM is not looking for those Buckers type players? I want y'all to think about this. I'm going to tell y'all something that you may not realize how profound it is now, but you'll think about it later. There's only one player on the Dallas Cowboys team that does not fit the character and the image of its owner. I'm gonna let y'all tell me. Of all the players on this team, if you think about it, what you're watching with some of these players in the media, they are exactly the kind of players, they are in the image, in a sense, of the owner, Jerry Jones. They're in the image of the owner, Jerry Jones. See, Jerry has created a toxic environment. As much as I like Jerry Jones as an owner, I don't like him as a GM because he's created a toxic environment. It started with Barry Switzer, and it has not stopped. It continues on and on and on. Ever since Jerry Jones decided. Do y'all realize Jimmy Johnson hired his coaching staff? Jimmy Johnson hired his own coaching staff. Do y'all know who has hired every coaching staff after Jimmy Johnson left? Jerry Jones. Every coach he hires is in the image of Jerry Jones. Parcells was the only coach that wasn't in the image of was not in the image of Jerry Jones. And what did Jerry Jones, what did Bill Parcells do? Bill Parcells said, enough, I'm done. Every player has been in the image of Jerry Jones, even the current players. Trayvon Diggs, you don't think that stuff he's doing is in the image of Jerry Jones? Jerry Jones goes off on 105.3 The Fan. All of a sudden, Trayvon Diggs, what does he do? He goes off on Leslie. And I'm not saying that what those guys did, I understand what they're doing because the fan base, the media around Dallas, is terrible. It hates on the team on so many different levels. I can understand some of the blow-ups. But at the same time, Trayvon Diggs, Micah Parsons, y'all gonna talk about how the media treats the team and you create a top 10 list of quarterbacks and you don't put your quarterback on the list? You just gave the media permission to talk about your quarterback and say, oh, they don't even, Michael Parsons and Trayvon Diggs didn't even put him on their list. You see the hypocrisy? It's hypocrisy. It's the same thing about Jerry Jones. 105.3 The Fan. You know why they talk so bad about the Dallas Cowboy players? Because Jerry Jones, every time there's a contract situation what does he do? He goes in the media and he starts talking about, well, the team is only going as far as Dak's going to take us, and that's where we went. Even when he signed Dak to the contract, I overpaid you. Now, he didn't do it on this one, but he did it on the first one. Jerry Jones goes out there and tries to negotiate contracts and through the media. And then we wonder why the media talks about the team. You see the hypocrisy? The team is acting like the owner. Are we seeing this? The team is acting like the owner. Why do you think Jerry Jones hasn't said anything to Micah Parsons about a podcast? Why do you think he didn't say, oh, Micah, no, you're not going to have a podcast being the defensive end on this team? Didn't even put no stipulations in. Oh, I tell you what, well, if you're going to do the podcast, you better not ever mention the Dallas Cowboys on that podcast. Why do you think he didn't do that? Jerry Jones is creating a team in his own image, and that's what we're watching. Then let me look in the chat. Let me see if y'all got it. There is only one player on this team that does not fit the Jerry Jones mold, the Jerry Jones image, the Jerry Jones character. There is only one player. Nisi says, Micah has been low-key dissing Dak from day one. I agree. Revelation journalist. Do y'all realize there's only one player on this team that does not fit the Jerry Jones mold? It is Rain Dakota Prescott. Even Tony Romo. Y'all remember Tony Romo? Tony Romo going to Stephen Jones' either son or grandson. I'm thinking it was his son going to his son's football games. Tony Romo, every chance he gets, he's always in a promo app or a photo moment with the Joneses. Now you're looking at these players. Now they're all out in the media. Now Michael Parsons got Trayvon Diggs all up in the podcast. A player on a team with a podcast talking about football during the football season. Literally insane. It will be the future, but it's literally insane. We are watching these players over and over and over. Players who leave over and over and over. There's only one that don't fit the mold. Dak Prescott. Y'all don't find it strange how Dak Prescott, and I'm not saying this is because he's black, but I'm saying it because a lot of these media people are very careful in this quote unquote sensitive society that we're in. And they're very careful today. Just follow. They're very careful today how they talk about the black quarterback. I mean, Amazon has did this whole documentary series on the evolution of the black quarterback. And people are always talking about the black quarterback in the NFL, even though I find it to be strange that almost half of the NFL quarterbacks are black. And they always talk about the black quarterback, and they're very careful about how they talk about the black quarterback, with the exception of one, Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is the most talked about, not only quarterback, but the most talked about black quarterback. It has to be studied. Why would someone hate a quarterback like Dak Prescott? If Dak Prescott was on another team, and other pundits have admitted as much, if Dak Prescott was on another team and Dak Prescott up until this point in time had the success that he's had, people would be screaming to the rooftops how incredible this man is playing. 4th round draft pick, runner-up MVP now, second team All-Pro. He's top 5 in almost every statistical category. Right now, historically, his trajectory is insane. If you look at Dak Prescott's stats alone, even his win percentage is incredible. He's 2-5 in the playoffs. But so was Peyton Manning, similar to Dak Prescott in his playoff career around year number 9. Drew Brees, year number 9. But we've been spoiled by the Russell Wilson syndrome. You bring in a rookie quarterback, you surround them with players, you go to the Super Bowl. San Francisco 49ers, what did they do? They got a rookie quarterback. They surrounded him with players, and they went to the Super Bowl. They not only did it once, they did it twice. And they took who? Jimmy Garoppolo. Wasn't a rookie, but he was on a lower tier contract. They brought him in from, they bring him in from the New England Patriots. What do? They surround him with players. They bring in Brock Purdy. What do? Surround him with players. They tried to do it with Trey Lance. Surround him with players. That doesn't work a lot. Patrick Mahomes, what they do, surround him with players. That actually doesn't work as much as people think. It's what you would like to do, but it doesn't always work. Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford, anybody? It doesn't always work. And Dak Prescott almost pulled off the unbelievable. He almost goes to a Super Bowl in his first season. If the Green Bay Packers doesn't have prime Aaron Rodgers, we're having a whole different conversation about Dak Prescott's career. He probably makes the Super Bowl. But because he's on the Dallas Cowboys, everything is magnified with Dak Prescott. And I'm saying all that to say that Dak Prescott doesn't fit the Jerry Jones mold. Dak Prescott keeps his distance from Dak Prescott. Spider-Man says Dak stands apart. Exactly. Dak Prescott, see, he doesn't do like a lot of these players. Dak Prescott will not talk to Jerry Jones about his contract without his agent. Other players do that. Y'all might not realize, but these other players, they do that. Stephen Jones will call a player without his agent and talk to him. Dak don't do it. Dak won't do it. Jerry forgot this team were winning Super Bowls and could talk trash. This current Super Bowl is winning this current team Super Bowl is winning the division. Postboy says we need new ideas and visions for these young men. Aaron says, why did we draft Schoonmaker? Because he's from Michigan. It's the only excuse we can give. I watched him in college. I was shocked when we picked him up. Anybody who watched Michigan wasn't an offensive juggernaut. And Schoonmaker definitely was. I'll never understand that pick. And it's not going to pan out. Hypocrisy or clickbait? Maybe both. They're in the image of their owner. As much as I didn't like certain things my supervisor did, I would never let another talk bad about our team. Not doing it either. I'm not doing it either. That's my team. Dan Quinn winning like a mug with the Commanders. The Commanders have a better record than us. Come on, Mrs. Jones. You know what, Post Boy? I'm going to tell you something. And I believe it. Stephon Gilmore said Dan Quinn threw that game last year. I believe it. I believe it. And the reason why I believe Dan Quinn threw that game, because he was tired of the Dallas Cowboys. Dan Quinn was tired of Jerry Jones. I believe that somewhere in someone's back room, Jerry Jones was telling Dan Quinn, hang around, and we're going to make you the head coach. Because that's how dirty Jerry Jones operates sometimes. He did the same thing with Wade Phillips and Jason Garrett. Jerry Jones will literally put the replacement for the coach on the team. And I believe that was one of the things he was telling Dan Quinn. But number two, Dan Quinn got tired of Jerry Jones not doing anything in free agency. Not doing anything at the trade deadline. And I'm telling you, the straw that broke the camel's back with Dan Quinn was Bobby Wagner. Guess who Bobby Wagner plays for now, y'all? Y'all tell me in the chat. Guess who Bobby Wagner plays for? and he balling. Guess who he played for? Nisi said, Postboy, technically that's the Dallas Commanders. Dan Quinn is showing us how you can take players from the Dallas Cowboys and you coach them, and they can be really good for you. They talk about him because he sells. I'm telling us. Better than Patty Mahomes. 8 to 9 interceptions. Talk to me. And the same stats. Come on now. 7-0. 7-0, Post Boy. Tell me how. I can tell you how. Number one defense. Top tier running game. Top tier defensive coordinator. Best offensive coordinator / play caller / coach in the game. There's nobody better than Andy Reid right now. There's nobody better. The man not only knows how to call plays, he understands situational football. And if you understand situational football, man, you could beat nearly a college team with a high school team if you understand the strengths of your players. I'm telling us. Revelation says back in the Western Cowboy days, they called them half-breeds. Jerry stopped trying after Romo. If Dak got on that yacht, he would have all the toys. See, Dak won't do it. See, Dak won't do all that stuff. See, watch this. Dak keeps forcing Jerry's hand because of his play. Dak forces his hand. See, Dak Prescott put Jerry Jones in a chokehold. Dak Prescott said, okay, you done made me play out 2 franchise tags. Tell you what I'm going to do, Jerry. We'll sign this contract. No trade clause. Put him in a chokehold. Put him in a chokehold right there. No trade clause. See, people do not understand. The no trade clause, man, I don't know if y'all ever used to watch wrestling back in the day, but the no trade clause is the iron claw. It's the iron claw. You put that on a team, they can't do nothing with you. They can't do nothing with you but cut you. And if they cut you, they don't just cut you. They literally gut themselves. Dak Prescott had the Dallas Cowboys in a situation that if they would have cut him, they'd have gutted themselves. And not only would they gutted themselves with the salary cap, who were they going to get that was better than Dak Prescott in free agency or the draft? People don't understand, man. Game got to recognize game. Dak Prescott ain't like all these other players on this team, I'm telling y'all. And we're watching it. Quinn was the same guy that blew a 25-point lead in the Super Bowl. Same guy. I'm with you. That's why for me, I understand what Quinn is doing, but I'm not sold on Quinn yet. Because after that comeback win, Tom Brady against the Atlanta Falcons, y'all realize Kyle Shanahan was on that team too, right? Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator on that team. And a lot of these offensive coordinators y'all seeing in the league, they were on that team too. That Shanahan tree, that whole Shanahan tree was on there. Y'all know why they got disbanded? Because of that New England Patriot comeback. Dan Quinn was a defense coordinator on that team. Tom Brady came back on him. And shortly thereafter, Dan Quinn was done. Dan Quinn was done. I'm not sold all the way on Dan Quinn, but I know why he left the Dallas Cowboys. DQ had his contract signed before the playoff game. That stinking thinking will not go far. Dan Quinn, we would have gone far, and then you quit. Stephon Gilmore said it. Stephon Gilmore said in all his years, he's never seen a defensive coordinator come in and change his scheme in the playoffs. The playoffs? He changed his scheme in the playoffs. Stephon Gilmore said, you don't do that. He said, no team does that. You try to mask your weaknesses and you improve your strengths. There's always something better if the situation is fitting the narrative of the goal. Mrs. Jones doesn't want to win. I'm telling you, I think that's it, Post Boy. He creates to send off to come back and bite us in the hindquarters. I'm telling you this, what we're watching is on purpose. It's on purpose. Man, look, if Wagner or any other big-name free agent really want to play for Dallas, why can't they set up a meeting with Jerry and Steven and not leave that mother till the deal is done instead of doing this? Come get me BS. Because at the end of the day, Freddie, see, it's all about dollars. And if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. And if you come to the Joneses, you know what they want to do? I've heard them say this stuff on the radio. Well, there's benefits to being a Dallas Cowboy. What are the benefits, Steven and Jerry? Is it winning? Is it going to the NFC Championship game? Is it Super Bowl appearances? What is it, Steven and Jerry? What is the benefit for playing for the Dallas Cowboys? Well, the tax bracket in Texas is different than in most places. The benefits you get for being a Dallas Cowboy. Oh, okay, here we go again. It's the benefits you get for being a Dallas Cowboy. It's the things you get outside of football being a Dallas Cowboy. It's what you get after your career is over with the Dallas Cowboys. Y'all want to know why this team is made in the image of them? What we're seeing with this team is they're doing a lot of things that they watch their owner do. He is a media darling. He's a media darling. He chose the ops, forget Dan, but they are winning games. Why? Well, one, Post Boy, they do have, I think the 23rd to 27th easiest schedule in the NFL. Number two, I think Chicago Bears are kicking themselves in the butt once again because they chose Caleb Williams rather than Jaden Daniels. Let's just call it what it is. Post Boy, Jaden Daniels is better than a lot of people thought he was. He probably should have went number one in the draft, and a lot of people were saying it. Jaden Daniels is a really, really good quarterback. Point blank. Can't take anything away from him. He's very good. He can run the ball. He's got a cannon for an arm. He seems to be able to throw very accurately. Jaden Daniels is a good quarterback, period. Not to mention they put some good weapons around him. He's got a run game. He's got some wide receivers. He's got a pretty good defense. And Dan Quinn, the one thing that he does, he creates good cultures. Dan Quinn created a good culture. Dan Quinn was helping with the culture in Dallas. He was. That's why the defense, even though the defense this year doesn't have some of the players, but Dan Quinn was kind of handicapped too with the Cowboys. He didn't have linebackers. I mean, he didn't. He had safeties playing linebackers. And Dan Quinn does kind of like a smaller player because he likes speed. Dan Quinn loves speed because he likes to run a lot of blitzes. He likes to run a lot of exotic blitz schemes. Dan Quinn is just that type of guy. Dan Quinn has done some good things in Washington, but the proof is about to be in the pudding as we go down the stretch, because their schedule is going to get a little bit tougher going down the stretch. So we're going to see how this all plays out in the end. Even with the Dallas Cowboys. I think even with the Dallas Cowboys, with everything they're doing to sabotage this team, I still think this team, if they'll just get out of their own way, I think this team can still pull off 10 wins. They can still pull off 10 wins. Washington will find a way to screw it up. It's their nature. CRG3. I want to see. I want to see what they're going to look like. And so that's the storylines. Long introduction, but there was some good comments in there and stuff. So I want to deal with those. And so I just want to go to the injury report real quick. The injury report looks pretty much the same with a couple of exceptions that we have here. Let's see here. Yeah, with a couple of exceptions. It looks like on the injury report, we still got DeMarcus Lawrence. We still got DeMarcus Lawrence on the injury report. Still got Brandon Cooks. Now, people were saying they were coming off on the 3rd. So that's after the game. So I guess it'll be Monday, but those two are still off. Micah Parsons is a huge issue. As much as we've said about Micah Parsons today, Micah Parsons needs to be back out there for this team. They need Micah Parsons. Even if it's just so that they keep teams honest. They got to be able to keep teams honest. Because if the Cowboys can't keep teams honest, the game is over. They got to stop letting these teams just come out here and just say, well, the Cowboys, we can run on them regardless. They have no pass rush. So we can basically have our way with them. If we don't get beyond that, it's going to continue to be long games for the Dallas Cowboys. And Micah Parsons, while he wasn't as effective those first few games, I'm wondering if he can be effective coming back, as Mike Zimmer seems to be coming into his own with what little he has. And so when we look at them on this injury report, again, Micah Parsons is a huge deal, and we need to get Micah Parsons. We really need to get Micah Parsons back. You also got Kalen Carson. They're saying that Kalen Carson still has a shoulder issue. He may not play. Zach Martin has a back issue. He is going to play, guarantee you. But it could explain why he may not be playing as good. Deron Bland, he's off of injured reserve. He should be playing. Tyler Guyton, of course, we know he's back. Eric Kendricks is back. But Amani Aruwari, his back, he's got a back issue. And so they are saying that he might not play in the game. He might not be available for us if we need him. And so when you look at the Atlanta Falcons, they have one serious issue. And it's this Rook Rojo. He's got an ankle issue. He's their superstar rookie defensive end, I think he is. He's pretty good from everything I'm hearing, and it looks like he will not be playing. Then you got Justin Simmons. He's dealing with a hamstring issue, probably going to know more tomorrow. And then you got Troy Anderson, the linebacker. He's got a knee issue, probably going to know more tomorrow, no later than Saturday. So when you look at their injury report, not really something that's just, I don't think it's something that's really going to help the Cowboys except at that defensive end position. But the reality is that the Atlanta Falcons are really not a good rushing team anyway. They don't really put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. So they don't put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. So that injury might not be a big deal. Well. Rico is not on the list. Strange, isn't it, Niecy? Rico Dowdle is not on the injury report. Strange indeed. Mike McCarthy is a liar. Mike McCarthy is a straight up liar. And it goes to show you how he's playing into the narrative. He's playing into whatever plan it is. He's playing into it. And I just can't. Oh man, there's one thing that I have a hard time dealing with liars. I know some people can deal with it. I have a hard time dealing with it. I just can't do it the way some people can. And especially when you're talking about sports. I mean, come on, man. Just call it what it is. And I think Jerry Jones has been spelling it out. I've been saying it all along. I just think we're not accepting it. I've already accepted it. The Cowboys are basically saying we win, we don't. It's almost like they're throwing this thing in the trash. So I want to talk about the offensive keys. The offensive keys. Spider-Man says, he says, Bijan, Spider-Man. Now, in case y'all don't know who Bijan is, and we'll talk about him in the evening. We'll talk a little bit more about him in the evening session, because I'm gonna talk about the defense today in the evening. Bijan will have a career day. Now, Spider-Man, I don't know if you are aware of this, but the Dallas Cowboys it was being said that they were going to get this Bijan kid from Texas. And if I'm not mistaken, the Cowboys even brought him in for an interview. A lot of people thought that the Cowboys were going to get this kid. Thought they were going to trade up, I think, to get him. And I think he wanted to play for the Cowboys. It's amazing to me that there's a lot of people, they still like the Dallas Cowboys. They rooted for him as kids. And then they get in the draft and they want to play for the Dallas Cowboys. If I'm not mistaken, this Bijan kid wanted to play for the Dallas Cowboys. Bijan, I hope what you're saying is not true. But I have a feeling this Bijan kid, he's been kind of average, I would say, this year. He's going to run like mad on the Cowboys. Or at least that's going to be the goal. The goal is he's going to run like mad on the Cowboys. But we'll talk about that tonight. Niecy said that Jerry is a developmental killer. He loves bringing back his buddies, Witten and Zeke. I'll never understand it. He did the same thing. You're right, Niecy. Did the same thing with Jason Witten. I'll never understand it. It is pure insanity what Jerry does with these with these players that he loves. So let's get into these offensive keys. And we're going to spend some time on this one right here. MVP Dak Prescott. This team needs MVP Dak Prescott. But the problem is, I'm going to keep it 100% real. I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. I'm literally talking out of both sides of my mouth as it applies to MVP Dak Prescott. Because how do we get MVP Dak Prescott? And from what we saw last week, we did not get the Mike McCarthy who came out of the bye week last year. We didn't get that Mike McCarthy. So if Mike McCarthy is not going to call the appropriate plays to get MVP Dak Prescott, we're still going to need MVP Dak Prescott, as in, even when McCarthy calls boneheaded plays, throw the ball away. Throw the ball away, Dak. Don't give the San Francisco 49ers 10 points off turnovers. Throw the ball away. Throw it away. Stop forcing the ball to CeeDee Lamb. Throw the ball away, Dak. Throw the ball away. Dak is not only battling the opposition, Dak is battling his coach and his owner. Mike, the OC, should just should just switch to the wishbone, because they be wishing a running back could run it home. I'm going to show you something, though, about this whole running back thing that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Spider-Man says that I hate it, Niecy, but I have respect for people that are loyal to their own. I'm the same way. I just can't do what some of these people do. Now, when we look at what Dak Prescott has done this season. Dak Prescott right now. Dak Prescott is his completion percentage is 63.7. He is 1,845 yards. He's ninth. He's got 10 yards. He's got 10 TD passes. He's 13th. He has one rushing TD. My problem with Dak Prescott are these turnovers. It's these turnovers. 8 interceptions and 1 fumble. These turnovers got to stop. Dak's got to stop this stuff. We know the play calling is atrocious. But don't compound the play calling by forcing the ball. And definitely don't throw the ball to CeeDee. I mean, if it's going to be contested, don't throw it to CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb's not contesting any. He's not contesting any interceptions. Niecy says, Spider-Man, me too. We need to put the best players on the field. Yes, for sure. I'm with you, Niecy. And that's what I'm going to talk about in a moment. Play Flournoy. We are not getting anything from wide receiver 4. I've been saying it all season. I'm going to tell y'all one of Dak Prescott's other problems is too. Dak Prescott, in my opinion, I think he likes a bigger-bodied wide receiver. And we play a lot of small wide receivers. Dak Prescott needs Flournoy out there. Tolbert, I think he's fine out there. CeeDee Lamb. I think that's the 3 receivers. The problem with Turpin got speed, but he showed us something. I don't understand that ball he dropped against the 49ers. It was placed perfect. Turpin is a gadget player. And there's nothing wrong with him being a gadget player, but he's a gadget player. He's a smaller wide receiver once again. He's not somebody you're going to probably try to hit on a slant play. He's not somebody you're going to try to hit on a shorter post route. He's not that guy. He's just basically the guy to me that you say, hey, run down straight down the field, we're going to throw it to you, which I would be doing about 6 to 7 times a game. But Dak Prescott is playing against his owner, his coach, and the other team. So what we need from Dak Prescott is to be a lot smarter, and throw some of these balls away, because right now Dak is on the trajectory. He's going to have about 18 18 to 20 turnovers again. Dak's got to be smart. He's got to protect the ball. Rush yard attempts. A lot of people have been talking about these rush yard attempts. Dak Prescott only 24 yards on 8 attempts. And I think that's on purpose. I played it for you a couple of days ago. Jerry Jones doesn't want him running. Jerry Jones doesn't want Dak Prescott running. Jerry Jones said the running quarterbacks, they get hurt. Not to mention Jerry Jones just paid him that money. Jerry does not want Dak Prescott going into the offseason with an injury. And I've heard some people talking. I remember that Dak Prescott had a boot on his foot. He had a boot on his foot in the during training camp when he went on a boating trip. And he said because he went on the water, it swole up. But at the same time, I don't really know what's going on. I haven't heard anything. But I think they're trying to be very cautious as it applies to Dak Prescott. And then when you look at his QBR, I'm just blown away at Dak's QBR. Dak is never this low at QBR. 47.5, 23rd. That is crazy work. That is crazy work. Dak Prescott is way better than this. Way better than this. And one of the reasons why I believe his QBR is down, I think we're looking at about 3 issues with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott hears a lot of the noise around him. And Dak Prescott, I think, is one of these people. He prides himself on being able to handle the noise. But in trying to handle the noise, I think that Dak wants to prove all of his critics wrong. That's great. Use that fuel. But what Dak has got to stop doing is pressing. He's trying to make things happen rather than letting things happen. He's pressing too hard. He's trying to get the ball to CeeDee Lamb at times when he shouldn't be trying to get the ball to CeeDee Lamb. He's sometimes trusting the wrong receiver. Dak Prescott is doing a lot of things to where he's pressing way too hard. And his offense, his coach isn't helping him out a lot. Let me show you something that's really insane. There is an insane stat out here about Dak Prescott that has to be studied. I got this from reported by RJ Ashoa yesterday via NFL Pro. Watch this right here. Y'all tell me this isn't crazy. Go back. I need to adjust that. Hold on a second. So I got this stat about Dak Prescott that is absolutely alarming. It is absolutely alarming. When you look at Dak Prescott's tight window throws. Let me see if I can get it up here on the screen now. People say Dak sucks. That's why I got question marks and exclamation points there. But look at this. Tight window throw percentage. 22.5%. Dak Prescott is first in the NFL in tight window throws. Now, for people who don't maybe know what tight window throws are, that means that your wide receivers are getting no separation. No separation. It means that the moment they come off the line, they are getting no separation between them and the defender. So that means that whatever wide receiver Dak Prescott is going to throw to, the probability of an interception is high. The probability of an incompletion is high. But Dak Prescott, and that's why I say when we're talking these things, I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. And some people won't admit this. I want MVP Dak Prescott, but I'm not getting MVP play calls. And so if I want MVP Dak Prescott, so if I'm Dak Prescott and I want to be MVP Dak Prescott, so now I have to make even better decisions. I can't take some of the chances that I've been taking. I can't take the chances that I even want to take. I'm going to have to basically deal with a lot of throwaways, because the other element that's missing, and this is what everyone's talking about, Dak Prescott is refusing to run the ball. Some of this is Dak also refusing to run the ball. He has no confidence in his coaches. He has no confidence in the owner right now. He has no confidence in everything that's going on around him, even the players. How can he have confidence even in his players when they're on a podcast, Jimmy Jaw and John and him, just stupid stuff. So Dak Prescott is in this swirling whirlwind. He's in this swirling whirlwind. And everyone's saying, we want MVP Dak Prescott. I want MVP Dak Prescott. But how do we get MVP Dak Prescott? When the play calling is not MVP caliber. How do we get that? I mean, we're really talking to this man out of both sides of our mouth. Tight window throw percentage, 22.5? What? First in the NFL. Do y'all realize they're saying something? Dak is throwing into coverage. Tight coverage. And not necessarily tight coverage. His receivers can't create separation. But he still has to pass the ball because they won't run the ball. Do we see how we're talking out of both sides of our mouth? We're in a conundrum. We're wanting something. Just think about this. We're wanting something that it's like really we're wanting what we really can't have. How do we get this? How do we get it? I mean, I know how we get it. How do we get it if they won't do it? How do we get it? 22.5% first in tight window throw percentage. Only qualifying quarterback above 20%. There are others on the list. Let me translate that. There are others on the list, y'all. There are others on the list. The difference is Dak is the only one on the list above 20%. What? Do you see how we're talking out of both sides of our mouth? We're talking out of both sides. We're talking out of both sides as it applies to Dak Prescott. It's crazy. It's literally crazy what we're doing. And Dak is feeling all that. Dak is hearing all that. He's trying to make things happen, but he can't. How does he make it happen? Revelation. I'm with you. Dak, just throw the ball away or just call your own plays. Really, revelation, it's the only alternative. And run the ball, but you're going to have to run it. If you run the ball, you're going to have to be very careful. I mean, the moment you sniff someone around you, don't try to break a tackle. Dak, don't try to break a tackle because I know the noise is out there. Everybody's talking about Dak running. I won't be surprised if there's a couple of Dak runs this week because this is what this team does. The media starts to jaw-jacking and then they respond. Dak, no. If you're going to run, you better run careful because I'm telling you, this team will leave you out to dry. Dak, we know you can make those tight window throws, but CD will just have to cry. You better say it, Niecy. Dak is pressing. He feels like he got to throw it to CD. But wait a minute, Niecy, hold on to your hat. There's one stat on here that when I saw this, I don't know how everyone else is looking at this, but this stat is astounding to me. It's astounding. Let me read a couple more of your comments. Don't give it to him. Yes, don't give it to him. Freddie says, what Dak needs is wide receivers. You're right. You're right. But watch this, Freddie. So we keep talking out of both sides of our mouth, don't we, Freddie? We want Dak to do better, but he needs wide receivers. I mean, it's like, what gives? What gives? You'll even hear the media doing this. they're criticizing Dak on one end, but then on the other end, he don't got this and Mike McCarthy. Well, which one is it? Which one is it? I mean, I think what we're seeing is a hodgepodge combination of all of it. We don't need MVP Dak. We need rookie Dak, Dink and Dak. But how do we get it? How do we get it? Because the coach doesn't seem to, he's inept right now calling plays. What Dak needs is for his wide receivers to shut their yap, stop crying because the ball is not coming their way and catch one. Freddie says the ball and hold on to the thing. Yes. Spider-Man says tight window throws. He goes, Mike McCarthy does not know how to scheme his receivers open. Isn't it strange what he does, though? Anybody pay attention to those 2 scoring drives that they had in the fourth quarter? All of a sudden, they're running rub routes. All of a sudden, there's motion all over the place. All of a sudden, they're moving CeeDee Lamb around. Why do you pick and choose, Mike McCarthy? Y'all know what we need? Mike McCarthy needs to make a carbon copy of the Pittsburgh Steelers game and run that scheme the entire rest of the way. That scheme right there is what this team needs. 1 out of 4 throws is a contested catch. Watch this. Y'all ready for what is mind-blowing about this stat? Look at this. I've been hearing a lot of people talk about Jalen Tolbert as a wide receiver 3. I don't agree with that. I think Jalen Tolbert can be a wide receiver 2. The problem is the play calling is not allowing him to be a wide receiver 2. And the fact that we are in this mode of we paid CeeDee Lamb $30+ million a season, so he must get 12 to 15 touches. And so we're calling plays specifically for CeeDee Lamb, and we got players on this team who are saying, well, the ball is to CeeDee Lamb, so what's the use in running? That's the stuff Troy Aikman was talking about. Poor play design, poor route running, people not running hard on the routes. Well, if you're going to just throw the ball to CeeDee Lamb, whether he's covered or not, what's the point in us getting open? I mean, what's the point of us trying to get separation? Watch this. I got to translate this stat for y'all. Watch this part. Let's see here. Hold on. Look at this. You ready? Y'all ready? I want you to look at this one right here. Targeting Tolbert. Targeting Tolbert. Tight window throws. Targeting Tolbert. 7 for 12, 127 yards, and 1 TD. You telling me Tolbert can't be a 2? Do you know who's catching the most tight window throws? Jalen Tolbert. Jalen Tolbert. Dak Prescott has better than a 50% success rate when throwing tight window throws to Jalen Tolbert. 127 yards, 1 TD. Oh, let me hit y'all with something. Do y'all realize that last minute walk-off touchdown against the Pittsburgh Steelers was a tight window throw? If Dak Prescott doesn't put that ball perfectly where only Tolbert can get it, that's an incompletion. And that Jalen Tolbert caught that ball, obviously has strong hands, because he caught it in front of him and went to the ground without tucking it in. That's Jalen Tolbert. And the stats are showing us 7 for 12, 127 yards. Don't tell me that this team doesn't have the talent to do what they need to do. We got Ryan Flournoy on the bench while we're letting Jalen Brooks run out there, and no hate on Jalen Brooks. He's just not better than, from what I can tell, he's not better than Flournoy. He's not better. So why is he out there? Why do you got Flournoy sitting on the bench? The lineup should be CD, Tolbert, Flournoy. Kevontae Turpin is not a third wide receiver. He's your gadget guy. He's the fourth guy. He's the guy you should be running in motion. He's the guy, line him up in the backfield. He's the guy that you move all over the place. Why? He's the gadget guy. Your wide receiver should be Tolbert, Flournoy, and CD Lamb. Stop all this nonsense with Jalen Brooks. Stop all this nonsense with Kevontae Turpin trying to get him to run traditional routes. It's stupidity. It's poor play design. It's a lack of use of what you have. You can complain about what you have all you want to, but if it's not going to change, there's no point in complaining. It's not what you need, it's what you do with what you have. I got a pretty nice setup right now, but it's a little older. I need a new setup. There are some things right now I know I need. I need a newer camera. I need a newer podcast thing that I'm working with. I need a newer hub that I'm working with. There are some things that I need, but guess what I'm doing, y'all? I didn't wait until we painted the studio. I didn't wait until we said we're going to put our couches behind, our rugs on the floor. We're going to paint the walls. I mean, we got all kinds of things that we're going to be doing in the studio over the next 3 weeks. But guess what I'm doing? I'm on the air. It does no good to complain about what you don't have. You do with what you have. Y'all know what the problem is? We keep talking about players. I'm not going to disagree with you that we may need some players, but doggone it, if you're not going to get the players, Jerry Jones has told you, I'm not doing nothing at the trade deadline. I'm waiting by the phone. Nobody's going to call you, Jerry. He's done nothing in free agency. He's not picking up people off the street. Well, doggone it, do with what you have. You can't tell me Tolbert isn't talented enough. The reality of the situation, Tolbert is one of the most productive receivers on this team. Do we not understand how hard it is to catch a tight window throw? That means that the cornerback, the safety, the linebacker, he's right up on you. Do y'all know what that means? That means that when you catch the ball, you're going to get smacked. His hand is going to get in where the ball is. A higher percentage chance of him stripping the ball out, incompletion, all kinds of things. Jalen Tolbert, 7 for 12, 127 yards, 1 touchdown. Oh, no. Hold on a second. We're not done yet. We're not done yet. Look at the next part. Targeting everyone else, including CD Lamb. Look at it. Including CD Lamb. 11 for 47, 137 yards, and 2 interceptions. You tell me, do we not have the talent? You tell me. You tell me that there's a problem here. No, the problem I see here is we're not utilizing what we have. Jalen Tolbert is better than what people are saying. He's better than what we're saying. And if they would give the ball more to Jalen Tolbert, I promise you he would be doing even better. Miss me. I'm not hearing this. This is nothing but excuses. It's excuses. One thing I know about people, I say it all the time. People build in excuses to lose. They build it in. Oh, we don't have this and we don't have. You're building an excuse. You're telling me what you're going to do to fail. That's what you're telling me. So that when you fail, you say, I told you why I was going to fail because I didn't have the players and the play calling. Doggone it, then you got to play around it. Dak Prescott, I'm telling you, if I was Dak Prescott coach right now, I don't care what you do. You stop throwing interceptions. I don't know who his fiance is. Pretty sure she's a nice lady. I wonder if she likes football. Because I'm going to tell you about my wife. I'm going to tell you about my wife. My wife would be telling me, what are you doing out there? Why did you stop throwing interceptions? My wife would be telling me that, I promise you. My wife would be telling me that. Stop forcing the ball, Dak. Stop doing what people want you to do. I don't care if they call to play the CD Lamb. I'm going to look Tolbert straight in his face, and I'm going to tell him, be ready. I'm going to look him in his face. I don't care what anyone says. I'm going to look him in his face. Be ready, because if CD is covered, I expect you to be open. I'm not going to tell him I'm coming to you. I'm going to tell him what I expect. I expect you to be open, and you better be open. I'm telling you, I don't want to hear this stuff. We do too much crying. People do too much crying. I don't want to care. I don't want to hear about what you don't have. You tell me what you do have. Then we wonder why these players, we running around here talking about, the wide receivers, they're running poor routes. They're not getting off the ball. They're not going to get off the ball if you're not going to throw them the ball. No, that's the problem. We got a mentality problem. I bet you this stuff is bleeding into the building. I'm one of the wide receivers, and you sitting there talking about, what we need is another wide receiver. CD Lamb, he's the only receiver. You're sitting up here, and I'm sitting in this room, and you're saying CD is the only person we got? Shame on you. What are you talking about? They're better than me. I'd be causing all kinds of problems in that room. I wouldn't be doing it in the public. I'm causing problems in that wide receiver room. Well, if you throw somebody else the ball, if you call a play to somebody else, make someone else the primary receiver. It's crazy talk. I'm telling us we building excuses to fail. I don't want to hear excuses. And you know what? It doesn't mean that it's not true. It doesn't mean it's not true. Okay, yeah, we need a wide receiver. It'd be great if we could get another wide receiver. But if we're not, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Sit back and say, they didn't get us the wide receiver, so there's no point in it. What? Nah, I come from a place where people say make lemons out of lemonade. I don't know about y'all. I don't know about y'all, but I make lemonade out of lemons. I make lemonade out of lemons. I'm sorry, if you got a raggedy car and it still go, you still drive that thing to work. Don't tell me you ain't got a new car, you can't drive to work. Don't give a doggone, you drive that doggone car to work. You do what you got to do. And the problem is we won't do what we have to do. We're buying into, I'm telling you, this team, all the things that we're talking about in this chat, they bought into this dumbness. They bought into it. Their own players are playing into this dumbness. Running around with podcasts, have the audacity talking about top 10 this. How about your position? Don't do the quarterback position. Do your position. And if you're not top 10, then you need to be trying to play like a top 10 player, which is what you're being paid like one of you are. It's dumbness. It's a dumbness. Spider-Man says, hold on a second. Niecy said, no more loafing on both sides of the field. Exactly. And some of that loafing is coming from the fact of what we don't have. Man, I'm sorry. This is why these guys can't be motivated. They crazy. They listening to they're listening to too much to what people are saying. Gregory said when Dak executes the hurry up offense, he torches the defense. I said it 3 weeks ago, Greg. I said it 3 weeks ago. They be calling me the Black Kyle Shanahan. I know Dak Prescott. Y'all got to help me. I'm not a football. I didn't go to school for football. I'm not a football coach. But one thing I do recognize is I'm going to recognize the strengths and the weaknesses on my team. And if I know I got a play action quarterback, if I know a quarterback that when I just say, go out there and play 2-minute offense, you call your offense. If I know that's where he flourishes, guess what? You think I'm waiting to 2 minutes to run the 2-minute offense? Y'all watch what the Atlanta Falcons do. I've seen them. I've watched them play, I think, 3 times this season. Watch what they do. They'll run the hurry-up offense at times when you're asking why are they running the hurry-up offense? Because they know that's where their strengths are. You don't give the defense time to make substitutions. You don't give them time to look at what you're doing and make changes and blah. No. Let's do what our quarterback does best. Dak Prescott eats on 2-minute offense. Coach, it's the first quarter. This is the second drive. Let's go. Let's go. It's on you, Dak. 2-minute offense. Do what you do. Do what you do. You run this offense. You call the audibles. You switch to run plays. You do it all, Dak. It's on you in these 2-minute offenses. I'm going to let Dak cook. Y'all know why Dak frustrated? See, Dak is a company man. I told y'all what's going on with Dak Prescott. He has no confidence in his coaching, no confidence in the play calling, no confidence in the owner. Look at what 2 of his players are doing on the defensive side of the ball. No confidence in them. They're dumb. No awareness. No awareness. This is what Dak Prescott's dealing with. This is what he's dealing with. Dak gotta go inside of himself. When folk around you doing the fool, man, you got to go inside of yourself. You got to show folk who not the fool. Mike is not matching up players each week. I'm with you. He's not. Mike is doing nothing. And I think Mike is doing this nonsense on purpose. It has to be planned. Time to pass the collection plate. Amen. I'm telling us there's something wrong with these folk, man. I don't have time for it. Address the real problems like Will McClay. I'm telling us, but we're not going to do it. We're too busy talking about what we don't have. Revelation says numbers don't lie. People do lie on the numbers. Man, I'm telling you, you tell me, Revelation, tell me those stats are not staggering. Y'all tell me. Maybe I'm dumb. I keep saying I'm not the smartest. I'm not the smartest person around. But I'm telling you, when you look at this stat, y'all tell me, who should Dak Prescott be throwing to? Who should he be throwing to? Y'all tell me. Let's see. Targeting Tolbert, targeting everyone else. Y'all tell me who he should be throwing to. Because I'm going to tell y'all a trend I'm seeing with CD Lamb. I'm going to tell y'all a trend I'm seeing with CD Lamb. And it's making me nervous. Y'all know when CD Lamb seems to be flourishing? Wide open, uncontested throws. Nah, I don't need that for my number one. Do y'all know who actually should be where Jalen Tolbert is? Do y'all know who actually should be targeting 127 yards, 1 TD? That should be CD Lamb. But you know why it's not CD Lamb? We've seen it. We've seen it. We saw it in the corner throw against the Pittsburgh Steelers. No contest. Jump ball 4. I got you. Oh, jump ball. When you don't have to contest it, right? Jump ball because you think you have the advantage, right? We saw it again with the Detroit Lions. And I'm not going to take anything away from the safety. He made a fantastic play. He looked at the film. He knew the assignment. He waited. Jalen Tolbert didn't run to the first down marker, and he's saying, I'm not worried about that first down marker. I'm going to protect the touchdown. I'm going to kind of drift back. Guess why? Because I've been watching film. And Dak Prescott is pressing, throwing the ball to CD Lamb. So I'm going to wait because I know where CD is running to, and if he throws it to CD Lamb, I'm going to drift back and get the interception. And CD Lamb ran past that ball like he didn't even see it. Shameful. Y'all tell me who he should be throwing to. Tell me who he should be throwing to. These contested throws. Tell me. I'm going to make the test easy for you because I don't think it's CD Lamb. If I'm going to throw a contested ball, it's not going to be CD Lamb. It's not going to be Jake Ferguson. It's not going to be Jalen Brooks. Forget that. It's not going to be Kevontae Turpin. Forget that. If I'm throwing a contested ball, I'll give you the answer to the test. It is none other than Jalen Tolbert. I'm tired of folk telling, well, we don't have. Okay, we know. We know what we don't have. We know. Somebody got to step in this locker room and say, I don't care what Jerry is doing no more. This is about what we're doing. Jerry's the owner. We're the team. What are we going to do? I'm telling you, there's something wrong with these people. There's something wrong with these people. Jerry has spoken and they have to right the ship. They're playing the game, Niecy. They're playing the game. That's what they need to realize. They're playing the game. Revelation says Jerry Jones is the leader of his own civil war against the union of his own team. That's why you got to fight him. You got to fight him. And the only way you can fight him is with your performance. I'm not going down with the ship. Not this way. I'm not going down with the ship on this thing. I don't care if the boat is full of water and I got a coffee cup. I'm getting that coffee cup and I'm about to try to put some of this water out of this thing and I'm going to stop some of this sinking. I'm going to do my part. Man, somebody got to step up. Most teams have the first 15 plays scripted. Our script is let's be lame and play the rest of the game from behind. You know what I think that they need to do, Spider-Man? Some teams, they script their first 20 plays. You know what I think this team needs to do? Your first 20 in the first half. Look at what the team does in the first half. This is what Brian Schottenheimer should be for. This is what your defensive coordinator should be for. You look at the plays they've run the whole first half. Where have they been successful? Because typically you're playing from behind. And if I'm winning, guess what I do when I come out in the second half? I don't make adjustments. I keep doing what I'm doing. Whatever beating you, I'm going to keep doing it. So I'm going to look at what they've been doing. How have they been beating us? Now let's put together our first 15 plays in the second half. And if I'm not going to do that, guess what I'm going to do? Dak, put your Superman suit on. Because we're coming out in the third quarter. 2-minute offense on the first 2 drives. 2-minute offense. They better have whatever defense they need on the field. Because our first 2 drives, we're coming out. 2-minute offense. We're about to blow the doors off this thing. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. I'm telling us. Niecy says these friendships will be a detriment to Dak's career. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I've learned something over the years. Sometimes you friends to people and people are not friends with you. You better recognize game. I'm a creature of habit. I'm a lost if my routine changes. They need to do the same. I'm telling us. This stat, when I saw this, I said, wow. I have got to share this with everyone on the live because this is crazy. That stat is telling. It's a staggering stat. It really is. It's a staggering stat. And I'm going to show y'all something else, man. The Cowboys have their work cut out for them. They have their work cut out for them. Because when you look at this, so scoring offense, we're scoring 21.4 points per game. That's number 22. The Atlanta Falcons scoring defense is 24.4 points per game. They're number 19. We don't even meet their threshold. We don't even meet their threshold. According to that stat, their defense is going to be, again, a mismatch for our offense. It is going to be a mismatch for our offense. And so the question is, well, what are we going to do? See, when you get in situations like this is what people don't understand. The Cowboys are missing. We keep talking about the players that they're missing, and I'm not disagreeing with you. But when you know you are missing players, then you got to maximize what you have. And when you know that a team has some strengths, then you got to maximize and try to expose their weaknesses. You got to come up with a game plan. Jalen Tolbert was a Dak pick, right? Yep. All right, Dak, it's now time to get Tolbert paid. No doubt. No doubt. And that's why I'm telling him. I would be telling Tolbert, I expect you to be open. I don't care who this ball is to. I expect you to be open. And I hope Dak I hope Dak is. I hope Dak has some of these stats that we're looking at. I hope he does, because they have got to get this ball to people other than someone named CD Lamb, because CD Lamb, he's showing you something. If it's a contested ball, he's in that pack. If it's a contested pass, CD's not going to go for it. He's not going to go for it. So if he's not going to go for it, then the only time you need to really throw him the ball is when he's wide open. It's the only time you need to throw him the ball. But at this point in time, when is he ever wide open? So I'm sorry, man. You know what? All this stuff about who needs to get the ball and whoever works the hardest, for me, that is who is getting the football. I wanted to go over here and look at some of their team statistics real quick. Let's see what we got here. So let's look at some of their team statistics. And this is why I'm telling you that I'm telling you that Jalen Tolbert, there's a problem here. They're not getting this ball enough to Jalen Tolbert. Because when you look at this, I hope y'all can see it. So CD Lamb has 45 receptions, 613 yards. We've seen that. 13.6 yards receptions, 65 is as long as 4 TDs. We got Jake Ferguson, who's number 2. Dak's been talking about a connection with Ferguson. There's something not right with Ferguson. There's something not right. He has 31 receptions, 263 yards, 8.5 yards of reception, 27 is as long as he has 0 TDs. Y'all make that make sense. Now, this is actually playing into our lack of success in the red zone, our lack of success on third downs, because a lot of times your tight end is your safety valve. You watch what we see against the Falcons. Y'all think Kittle gave us problems? Wait until we play the Falcons. Wait until we play the Falcons. I think Pitts is his name. I mean, their tight end, y'all ain't seen nothing yet. Y'all hadn't seen nothing yet. No, this dude here, they were talking about the Cowboys trading for him. And boy, I know God don't care about football, but boy, I'm telling you, I was like kind of like praying almost like, man, Cowboys, please trade for this dude. Y'all think he's something? You wait till you see Kyle Pitts against this team. But I digress. Ferguson is supposed to be the safety valve for the quarterback, and he's not. But here it is again. Look at the number 2 receiver. It's none other than Jalen Tolbert. 27, 334. Look at his yards per reception. 12.4. 48 is his longest. 2 TDs. Now, CD Lamb is the $30 million man. He's a lot flashier out there. I give it to him. He's dangerous after yards after the man. He's dangerous with that yak, boy. Yards after the catch. CD is the man. But look at Jalen Tolbert. Jalen Tolbert is being underutilized. They need to go more to Jalen Tolbert. They do. I don't think it's a matter of Jalen Tolbert can't. I think it's a matter of we won't. We won't give him the ball more. We need to give him the ball more. And I'm not even understanding this whole thing with see, one of the things the Cowboys do that makes me mad, they want certain players to be successful. Are y'all hearing me? They want certain players to be successful. And you know one of them that they want to be successful? It's Jalen Brooks. But Jalen Brooks keeps showing over and over and over. Jalen Brooks is just not it. 5 for 77, 15.4, 24. He's just not it. Maybe on another team. Maybe he can get better development on another team, and maybe you can have a different conversation. But when you got people, when you're talking about the people who you know that can truly perform for you right now, I don't understand why we have not moved Ryan Flanoy in the Jalen Brooks spot. We need to get the ball more. Get the ball more to Jalen Tolbert. Kevontae Turpin, stop lining him up at wide receiver. He's your gadget guy. He needs to be in motion every time he touches the field. He either needs to be in the backfield. He needs to line up in the slot, going in motion. Never let him be still because he is your speed guy. And if he's your speed guy, then let him get that burst off the line that when he comes in motion and boom, he jets. He jets. You got to let Kevontae Turpin be Kevontae Turpin because if you're trying to turn him into a traditional wide receiver, you're not going to do it. He's too small, number one. You can't catch him in the fray. No, he's either down the field or you got to get the ball in his hands some kind of way on short yardage. You got to do something different with Kevontae Turpin. But Jalen Tolbert is the wide receiver too on this team, whether we accept it or not. Because the Cowboys aren't going to go get anybody unless they shock us today, tomorrow, or next week before the trade deadline, unless they shock us. Then you need to step up with Jalen Tolbert. You're just going to have to use him. It is what it is. Gregory says the Cowboys have more our men than teammates. Spider-Man says, who put in all the work with Dak in the offseason and training camp? Jalen or CD? I got the answer, I think, Spider-Man. You tell me if I'm wrong. Jalen Tolbert. Jalen Tolbert was there when CD wasn't. Jalen Tolbert was putting in the work. Jalen Tolbert. Last week we talked about using the tall tight end, Spanford, in the red zone. They did, and he dropped it. There's your problem in the red zone right there, Spider-Man. Something isn't right with Ferguson. And then we saw that Spanford doesn't have the hands. And it seemed like they've been trying to do something with Hunter Lipke. But this is one of the problems that I have with this team. One of the problems I have with this team, they can't seem to figure out ways to utilize. Because I'm telling you, Hunter Lipke, let the Cowboys mess up and he go to another team. You'll be hearing this kid's name all the time. You put this guy with an Andy Reid, a Kyle Shanahan, a Sean Payton, you would be hearing Hunter Lipke's name all the time. All the time. But not the Cowboys. We cannot, for whatever reason, we have a problem utilizing talent. And I don't understand it. Because I'm saying all of this because the Cowboys, one of the issues that they're going to have to figure out is y'all. They're going to have to figure out how to spread the ball around again. I don't know about y'all, but we've had the game that we need to be looking at. The game that we need to be literally looking at is the Pittsburgh Steelers game. Did we throw the tape in the trash? Did someone say that doing what we did in the Pittsburgh Steelers game is off limits? What happened? What happened? I'm not understanding it. What happened? We got to do better with this, y'all. We have to do better with this because if the Cowboys don't do better with this, we're going to see the same result again. We're going to see the same result again. We're going to get close, but no sombrero. The Cowboys are playing off of sheer will at this time. Sheer will at this time. And if we don't make a change, we're just going to keep getting the same result. Nisi says, Lipke fumbled in the red zone, and it took how many to build the trust again? Whoo! You better say it. I remember that play. Boy, he fumbled. Man, they was like done with him for a while. They were like done with him. And so, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And so The Cowboys, and the last part of this, what I want to talk about, and then we're going to get out of here. And y'all, I will resume today around 5:30. I'll send out an alert to let you know when. But we're going to go hard today again, and we're going to be talking about the defense. And we'll probably still touch a little bit on the offense in the beginning part, but we're going to spend the majority of that time talking about the defense. But the Cowboys have got to make a decision. Who is going to be the RB1? And this nonsense they did last week, there are people out there trying to defend it. And I don't understand this affinity for Ezekiel Elliott. I like Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, Zeke was the man the first 3 years with the Cowboys. But he got that contract and he fell off the boat. And he hasn't been the same since. And a lot of people, they say stuff like, he's not washed. Being washed is not the argument. That is not the argument. If we're going to make the argument on whether or not Zeke is washed, it's the wrong argument. The real discussion that you need to have whenever you're talking about players, it's not about washed, what they got left in the tank, even good. The argument is, but who's the best running back on the team? This isn't about being washed. This is about being who is the best running back on the team. And people are saying that Zeke, and I'll admit it. Yeah, Zeke didn't look, he didn't look terribly against the 49ers. I thought he looked pretty good at times. No problem. Looked pretty good. But we're not looking for pretty good. We're not looking for pretty good. We are looking for who is the best running back on the team. And the stats don't lie. Rico Dowdle, without a doubt, is the best running back on this team. Without a doubt. I want you to see something. These stats, they don't lie, bruh. Rico Dowdle has ran the ball 59 times. He has 246 yards. He has a 4.2 yards per attempt. His longest is 13. He has 0 touchdowns. If we look at Ezekiel Elliott, he only has 11 fewer carries. 11 fewer. 48 attempts, 149 yards, 3.1 yards per carry. 11 is his longest. He has 2 TDs. There's no discussion. We shouldn't even be having this discussion. But because we got a coach who's battling the owner. And I don't know. I don't know if he's battling the owner or he's in on the owner. But what we are watching is crazy. Because we got all of this dumbness going on as it pertains to the Dallas Cowboys. And it seems like to me that the owner has his hand in who he wants to be the running back for the team because he brought Zeke back and he wants to prove to everybody that Zeke is the man. Zeke isn't the man. The reality is that Rico Dowdle, and this is no knock on Ezekiel Elliott, Rico Dowdle is better than Ezekiel Elliott. And not only do the stats show it, the tape shows it, the TV shows it, everything we're watching. But the question is, who will the Cowboys choose? Who will the Cowboys choose? Y'all tell me what y'all think about that in the chat. Who will the Cowboys choose? Who should be the Cowboys RB1 this week? And the reason why I'm asking this is because, and whoever is going to be the RB1, whoever is going to be the RB1 does not need to, quote unquote, split carries. They don't need to split carries with the quote unquote running back by committee carousel that if anybody's paying attention, the running back by committee, the committee is terrible. We need to fire the committee, y'all. The committee isn't working. What we need is not a committee of running backs. I'm agreeing with Mike McCarthy and his lying self on this. But one thing he said early on was the plan, or he said something to the effect that he's not really a fan of the running back by committee. I'm not either. I think you need to decide on who's going to be your RB1, and you let the RB2 spell him. That's not a committee. You commit to the RB1. And when he needs a break, you let everyone else work around him, understanding that he's going to get the bulk of the carries. The bulk of the carries. Because when you look at Rico Dowdle, the Pittsburgh Steelers game, Rico Dowdle, the stats don't lie. Rico Dowdle was off the chain. He was 20 carries, 87 yards. He was 20 carries, 81 yards. Pretty much living up to his average. 4 yards per carry. He was awesome. He was literally awesome. And Zeke has had opportunities to put together these types of games. But he's not, you know what, we can say anything we want to say. This is not bashing Zeke. Zeke's not capable of those types of games anymore. He's just not capable of those types of games no more. I mean, Rico Dowdle, 4.3 yards per carry. And this is where I was really impressed. Rico Dowdle got involved in the passing game. He was 2 for 27, 13.5 yards per reception. And the TD he caught in the end zone, he got some hands. By the way, it's the Pittsburgh game I'm looking at. And the reason why I'm looking at the Pittsburgh game is because someone has to tell me what made them decide after the Pittsburgh game that Ezekiel Elliott was going to be the starter in the Detroit game. They made Zeke the starter in the Detroit Lion game, and it did not make sense to me. Why would you do that? And we keep talking about the effort of these players, the efforts of these players and all of these different things, and they should be doing this. And well, y'all tell me something. Maybe I'm dumb. Y'all tell me something. So if you come out and you play the best game of the season on the team, you play the best game of the season, and you are supposed to be the RB1. You're listed as the RB1. Y'all tell me, what do you do then? What do you do when the team who says you're the RB1, they come out and they make the RB2 the RB1? What does that do to you? What does that do to you? The Detroit game. Look at this. Stats don't lie. Now, you might think, looking at this, maybe Rico was the starter, but looking at this, you would think Rico should be the starter. Do y'all know who the starter was? Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott literally played the entire first half almost. He was 8 for 17. Someone says that someone says that Ezekiel Elliott needs 10 carries to really get started. Well, he can't be my running back then. I don't need 10 I don't need to give you the ball 10 times for you to get started, because in this Detroit game, Rico Dowdle had 5 for 25. He was above his season average. On only 5 carries, he was above his season average. So why in the world did we not have Rico Dowdle starting? Mike McCarthy's a liar, y'all. I've already pointed it out. Mike McCarthy said where he is in the rotation, he's the running back 1. So you're going to come out and make him the RB2 against Detroit? And then you're going to give him, because the fan base was clamoring for Dalvin Cook. The fan base was clamoring for Dalvin Cook. And so everyone was talking about, well, we want to see what Dalvin Cook can do. Y'all can tell me anything y'all want to. I'm calling total cap on the Cowboys. I'm calling total cap on the Cowboys. They put Dalvin Cook in a position to fail. They did. You can't bring a man in his first game on the road and someone says, ta-da, here it is. You wanted Dalvin Cook. He wasn't that good. It's his first game, man. Stop it. No one said Dalvin Cook was doggone Derrick Henry. Stop it. No one expected Dalvin Cook to step on the field his first game and get the ball 6 times and go for 100 yards. If you thought that's something wrong with you, something wrong with you. Something is wrong with you. And so the Cowboys, see, sometimes I've seen people do this in the corporate world. I've worked for people that when they want to prove a point, they'll prove a point by throwing someone into the fire while not giving them the opportunity to truly be successful, so they can say, see, we gave you what you wanted and look what happened. So the Cowboys, they put Dalvin Cook in. Dalvin Cook went 6 for 12, 2 yards. Ezekiel Elliott, 10 carries, 34 yards, 3.4 yards carry. Guess what? He was pretty much with his season average. He wasn't much better than his season average. 3.2 yards a carry. He got 3.4 yards a carry. There's no discussion here. Does Zeke have a place? I keep saying it. Short yardage. You got a yard to go at the goal line? I'm giving it to Zeke. He'll get you in that end zone, I believe. I'll give it to him two straight times. I'll give the ball to him. 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 maybe. I'll give Zeke a shot because Zeke seems to have a nose for that stuff, even though the stats show that Rico Dowdle is just as good. But I would play Zeke in those areas. I would play Zeke even in the passing game. I would do it. I would not have a problem with Zeke on passing downs. He chips someone coming out of the backfield and then he runs out for a pass. No problem. But in no situation should Ezekiel Elliott be your primary back. I'm still saying it. I know this is going to not sit well with some Ezekiel Elliott fans. I still want to see more Dalvin Cook. I still want to see more Dalvin Cook. I still would rather Rico Dowdle be the starter and let me see what a game looks like with Dalvin Cook being the second running back. I would still rather see that. Because with Zeke, I know exactly what I have. I need to see what I have with Dalvin Cook as we go down the stretch. I need to see what I have. Because the trade deadline is now, next week. I need to see what Dalvin Cook is. Because if I'm serious, I might go out there if there's someone that's low-hanging fruit that may be better than Dalvin Cook. Well, maybe I pick him up and drop Dalvin Cook. If I don't have to risk anything, not a lot of money, well, I'll go get them instead of Dalvin Cook. I'll go get them. But for us to look at Dalvin Cook with one game against a pretty good San Francisco 49ers, and the fact that it's his first game, we didn't give him the runs that are really his strength. I'm sorry, but I would still rather see what Dalvin Cook has. Stop all of this nonsense that's going on in Dallas. Stop the ego tripping. Rico Dowdle should be the unequivocal starting running back for the Cowboys, and there should be no more discussion. There should be no more discussion on this subject matter. Solidify your running back room and give him the bulk of the carries and see what he does with them. Give him 25 carries. Why not? You give him 25 carries, he's averaging four yards a carry. You're going to get a 100-yard game out of him. And if you really want to stay committed to the running game, then stay committed to the running game and give it to Rico Dowdle. His season average is showing you he will get you 100 yards. Hey, Rico, you're going to get the ball 25 times. We're going to hand it to you 25 times in this game. Yes. I would be like, yeah, give it to me. I'm ready. Give it to me. And I promise you, if you give him that ball 25 times, you will still be able to work Zeke in. You'll still be able to work him in. Just work him in differently. Work him in the passing game. Work him in short yardage. Work him in. But don't give up the team winning for men's egos. That's stupid. That's not coaching. That's politics. That is pure politics. Spider-Man says on third down to block and short yardage, but not RB1. Yes. I got to give it to Zeke. That block he stuck in the ribs of the San Francisco defensive end was priceless. He's great at that. I would have Zeke in on passing downs. He's great at that stuff. Spider-Man also says, I want the Rico 1, Cook 2, and Lipke. Exactly. Zeke, you're going to be on passing downs and short yardage. Don't you worry. You're going to get your opportunities today. But Rico Dowdle is a starting running back on this team. I mean, you got to tell people that, man. The Cowboys play too many games. Do y'all know this whole running back by committee thing? People can say what they want to say. But this is just their way of trying to be diplomatic. This is their way of trying to not make someone mad. Oh, we're running back room by committee. Translation. Zeke's back with the team, and we don't want to. Jerry bought Zeke back, and we want to make sure we don't do anything to embarrass Zeke or embarrass Jerry. I don't care about none of that. Zeke does not need to be the starting running back on this team. He doesn't need to open up your opening drive. He doesn't need to be your second drive. He doesn't need to open up your third. He doesn't need to open up drives, period. Work him in other ways. Bring him in on second down. Work him in other ways. Short yardage, plays, block it. Do what you got to do. But your primary run game needs to be Rico Dowdle. His average is showing you 25 carries. He got you 100 yards. I promise you, Dak Prescott looks different if you hand that ball to Rico 25 times and then you sprinkle in another 10 to 15 runs to the other running backs, some jet sweeps with Kevontae Turpin, whatever you got to do. I promise you Dak Prescott looks different. He won't be pressing so hard. There will be separation. You can't open up this offense. Problem is Dallas refuses to do it. But this is just part one. We're coming back today with part two. We'll be back around 5:30, somewhere in there. I'll send out an alert, let you know. But we're not finished talking about these Cowboys. We got a lot to talk about. It's Thursday. We are moving on to the Atlanta Falcons. And then tomorrow, we're going to do 2 shows also. Got a whole lot to talk about. Videos dropping in between all of that, with certain things going on with Cowboys in the news. Man, we're going to be talking about it all as this season, it is getting ramped up. It is time to make some runs, y'all. It is time for us to talk Cowboys. So if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and let everyone else know about a channel out there called Let's Talk Cowboys, where we talk Cowboys and we talk facts. Peace.